Hello guys, welcome to the next video on JavaFX tutorial for beginners. In this video we will learn about JavaFX properties. So first of all, let's see what are JavaFX properties. JavaFX properties store the inner state of a control and allows us to listen to the state change from JavaFX UI controls. That means you will be able to perform an action when the value is changed in the property, right? Now there are two kind of properties in JavaFX. One is read-write property and other is read-only properties, right? Now to add a property in JavaFX, you need to import this library, which is javafx.beans.property.whatever property you want. Okay, now the example of read-write properties are these. So you just need to add, for example, javafx.bean.property.simple_string property. This is for declaring a string property. In the same way, you can declare an integer property or boolean property or double property like this. So you just need to add simple and then what kind of property, for example double, and then the property. Okay, so simple double property, simple integer property, or simple boolean property. Okay, in the case of read only property, you declare it something like this. So you just write javafx.beans.property.read only boolean wrapper, for example, or read only integer wrapper, or read only double wrapper, or read only string wrapper. Okay, now these are the examples of the read-write property and read-only property. So how you can define a read-write property in JavaFX? So for example, you want to define a string property, you can use this keyword called string property. Value is equal to new simple string property, and in the constructor you can give some initial value to this string property. It will work same as string, but it has more functionality than string. Okay, now because it's a read-write property, you can call the set method on your simple string property and change the value of it. Okay, so the initial value we have assigned here is JavaFX, and using set method on the value object, you can change the value to, for example, JavaFX tutorial. Okay, and to access the value, you call a get method on your object, right? So for example, you want to print the value of this value object, then you can use system out print line, and you can call get method on this value property. And what will be the output? The output will be the JavaFX tutorial, because initially the value we have assigned was JavaFX, but we have changed this value using the set method. So the new value which will be printed is this value. Okay, not this value. Now in the case of read only, you can define a read only property in two steps. First is defining an object of read only whatever wrapper, for example read only string wrapper, and then the object name is equal to read only string wrapper. And same as read write property, you can assign some value using the constructor, for example JavaFX, and then you can make a read only string property out of this using a method called get read only property. Okay, so you can define read only string property and your object name, for example read only value, is equal to value dot get read only property. Now let's take an example to understand fully how these properties work. So I have created a JavaFX project here, in which I have this main controller.java class, main.java class, in which I am just opening a primary stage, and I think you know this code by now if you are following my video, right? And I have this blank fxml file. Okay, now I'm going to create a new class here in the application package, and I'm going to name it as, for example, my number. Okay, and to add a property, what I've told you, you need to import this java.beans.property.asterisk, right? And now we are going to declare, for example, in normal condition you will declare a private variable, and for example you want to declare a double data type variable, and I will say this is our number variable. Okay, and then to get and set the number value, you can make two methods which are getter and setter for this number. So for example, I will right click on this code, and I will go to the source, and I can just call generate getters and setters. Okay, and I will click OK, and it's going to give me this getters and setters. But in the case of property, you declare this property with the name double property here. Okay, and in the getter, what you will do is, first of all, we will check if our number property, for example, so this is our number property, if it's null or not. So for example, it's not equal to null, then what I told you, you can call a get method on it. So just call get number.get, otherwise you can return a 0 value. Okay, so just return 0. This is the default value we are returning. In the case of setter, you cannot set it directly, right? You need to have this simple double property, and then using this you need to then set the property using the set method. So first of all, we will create this property using a method, and I'm going to create this method called public final double property, which returns double property, and then I will name my property as number property. And first of all, I will check if it's null, and if it's null, then I'm going to initialize it. Okay, so in a way, first of all, we need to initialize this property using new simple double property, and the default value I'm giving here is 0. Or if it's already initialized, then I will just return this double property, which is number in our case, right? Now every method you define here should be final here. Okay, now to set the number, what you can do is, instead of using this dot number, you can use this function which we have created, which returns the double property, and then call a set method on it. So using set, and then set this number here which we are passing from the argument. Okay, so this is how you can define a property in JavaFx. You have a class, and then you have a property variable, and then you declare setter and getter for this property, and this whole class is called a Java bean. It's a concept in Java for declaring the properties, right? Now let's go to the controller.java class, which is our main.controller.java class, and right now it's blank. So let's implement initializable interface first. So just call initializable and implement the unimplemented method here. So just use add unimplemented method, and it's going to create this method called initialize. Okay, and now we are going to create a instance of this my number class which we have created. So just write my number, for example, my num is equal to new my number. Okay, and first of all, let's set the default value inside this initialize method to it. So my number dot, for example, set number, and default value, let's give it 0. And now let's declare a label here. So this we are going to use to set the value. Okay, so just declare this @fxml private label and then label status, and don't forget that this should be final here. Just add this keyword final before initialization of your object. Now just take your myNumber object from here and go to your initialize method, and then we are going to call this number property method which we have declared inside this myNumber.java class, right? So we have declared this number property method, right? So we are calling this method here, and then we will add a listener to it. So just use add listener method, and inside the argument you need to add new change listener. Okay, so just add change listener, and it takes an object, so just pass this object here, and now just click this bulb which shows the error, and it will tell you to implement the unimplemented method. So just click this add unimplemented method button, and it's going to implement this changed method. Now inside this changed method, what we are going to do is we are going to take this label and set on this label the value of the number. Okay, so just take this label and then dot set text, and because we want to set a text and we have a number, so we need to convert this or cast it. So just write new double, and then you take your myNumber object and get the value of it. So we have declared a getter for it, get number, so just call this method and then just call toString to convert it to the string. So what we have done here, we have added a listener to our property. So whenever the number is changed using a set method, then the label is also set with the new value. Okay, now let's declare a method which we can call using a button click. So just add a public method, and the return type would be void, and the name of this function will be, for example, btn click. Okay, and just add this argument which is action event and give the variable name event. And inside this button click function, what we are going to do is we are going to change the value of number using this myNumber object. So take this myNumber object, and then we will call the setter method which was set number, which we have declared. And once again, for example, take this object and we will call a getter to get the current value of the number, and then we will just add 1 to it. So in a way, we are increasing the value one by one. Now observe here that we are not directly setting the value to the label. We are just changing the value of the number using the number class. Okay, and when this set method is called and the property is changed, it's going to call this listener on this property, and it's going to set this number to this label using this add listener method. Okay, now let's add some design using fxml file. So just right click on your main.fxml and open with scene builder, and I have already given this default size to the anchor pane. So pref width is 300 and pref height is 300, and now I'm going to take some controls from here. So take a button from here which we will use for the button click event, and take a label from here. Okay, and this we will connect it from the label which we have declared. Right now, first thing which we are going to do is we are going to connect our controller class to this fxml file. So just go here at the controller and then choose your application.main controller class, and then we will give the ID to this label. So go to the code and the ID will be the ID which we have declared, which is label status from here. Okay, so just give the same ID here and select your button and go to on action method here, and then choose the method which you have declared. So just copy the name of this method, button click, and paste it here. Okay, and now save your code and now refresh your project. So right click and refresh the project, and now save your code and run it. And now our app is running, and when I click this button, see what happens here. So I click the button once and the value becomes 1.0. I will click the button again and again, and the value increases by 1 every time when I click the button. Okay, now this is happening due to the change of the property. So if you can see here in the method button click, we are not setting the value to the label, right? We are just setting the value to the property, and this property triggers this add listener method, which sets the value to the label. Okay, so this is how the properties work. So whenever you change the property value, you can trigger some event, for example setting some value or doing some other task. And by the way, in the main method, just call application/main.fxml file, right? So in this way, you can use properties in JavaFx. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now.